The TESDA has started implementing the ECCD Services NC3 training in 28 sites as part of the Senate's mandate to professionalize daycare workers. Now, this is part of the special provision of 80 million allocated for CDWs from the Senate's special provision last year for 2025. The training is ongoing. We have at the moment around 830 CDWs graduated and ongoing training, with around 33 trainers who are now training more trainers, so we can ramp up and hit the 2,800 or so target for 2025 by the end of December. Having said that, TESDA has also put in an additional 160 or so million funding into the effort to reach around 9,000 CDWs, hopefully by March next year. Next slide. Pursuant to the new law, RA 12063, or the EBET law, TESDA is intensifying enterprise-based education and training to promote industry-relevant and experiential immersive learning. We have registered 287 EBET programs since July 2025. At the same time, there is a projection and an identification by our industry partners. So SAPI has already identified 34,000 individual learner slots that they would like to require to go through an EBET program. The IBPAP has 22,800 individuals, and the regional prospective beneficiaries in the rest of the other EBET programs that have been registered are predicting or are ongoing for 29,276 learners. As of November 2025, we will accomplish around 25 or 24.5 thousand, an additional 4,600 by December, depending on how fast we can roll out the IBPAP and the SAPI training in the individual industries. Next slide. We have increased, again, as a recommendation of EDCOM, the number of industry TVET boards to identify skills needs and to co-develop new courses in accordance with our mandate to bridge the job skills mismatch. We now have 15 national industry TVET boards. 5 of those was established, actually 7, I think, were established more or less in 2025 alone. We have 80 regional and provincial industry TVET boards and 3,262 industry TVET board member enterprises. Next slide, please. So the employment of TVET graduates has steadily been improving over the years. This is I think, a testament to how well we try to job skills mismatch bridging. To the extent that we can be as industry driven as possible, we expect that this employment rate will also increase. We are now at 83% for 2024, and we're at 79% in 2023, or 80%. Next slide, please. We have also launched in this year a micro-credentialing program to address the skills gap primarily for new hires, as well as to promote career agility and lifelong learning. This will allow for stackable and rebundleable courses that should be mobile and can be recognized across some of our training and qualifications. We have 832 new registered micro-credential programs, and there is in the budget a provision for the expansion of the learner slots, or to be able to subsidize and support the micro-credentials for next year. Next slide. Sorry. The enrollment in TESDA online courses, which is part of our flexible learning, has been increasing even as the catalog of courses that we have, or the MOOCs that we have access to, expands. There are now 195 TOP courses that are test generated for 23 full qualifications. And the effort, of course, to develop more courses is increasing, as well as being able to link our platform with already available online courses and material. We have for 2025, January to September, 1,557,000 Filipinos enrolling in our TESDA online program. Next slide, please. I'm trying to go as fast, Senator, as I can. Under the ADB-funded CIPTVET program, construction of 5 regional innovation centers have started out of the 17 targeted. This is, of course, a loan program from the ADB, and it is admittedly a year and a half to almost 2 years delayed. Yeah, but having said that, it is finally moving, and we were given the green light by the ADB review last December. Because of delays in construction, we have now gone back to yellow, but we expect to be back in the green from the flagging system of the Asian Development Bank by December. Next slide, please. TESDA is adopting international competency standards such as the World Skills Standards, and we are developing a AI course builder to increase the speed by which we can review old standards and create new ones as well. We expect the AI course builder to be operational sometime next year. For our harmonization with DepEd, for 2025, TESDA has assessed 180,520 senior high school learners since 2024-2025 school year to provide pathways to employment. 180,520 learners took the assessment, of which 152,087 have passed, resulting in an 84.25% certification rate. At the same time, next slide, please. TESDA has been expanding its network of assessors in accordance with the budget from 2025 by training DepEd personnel as assessors. 2,792 DepEd personnel enrolled in since 2024 in our TM1 COC2 training. Of them, 274 graduated for a 99.24%. More actually underwent assessment than we trained. So within the DepEd personnel, they already had employees that had the necessary requisite NCs, and they underwent assessment, and 3,576 passed and were certified at 85.2%. Which is just to say that the alignment to ensure that even more senior high school learners in the next school year can be assessed and properly trained in accordance to TESDA standards is also increasing as we increase the ecosystem of TVET within DepEd. For the 2026 proposed budget for the NEP, much of this has already been mentioned by the Dole presentation. But I suppose I would like to simply highlight a data that we received, in fact, from EDCOM, that on average, TESDA receives only 2% of the national education budget, as opposed to the almost 4% in our ASEAN neighbors. For 2022-2026 comparative budget, as is, I think, the norm for many agencies, our desires are always far greater than the fiscal space government allows. So the NEP is in fact 52% lower than the agency's proposal. Next slide. Having said that, the total expenditure program for the NEP is at 20.242 billion. No? NEP 2025 to NEP 2026 has actually increased by around 1.5 billion. So I would like to thank the DBM for an increase in our NEP However, our 2026 net versus the 2025 GA is short of around 700 or so million. That's approximately 3 point something percent. The next slide, please. And again, that is shown here. Most of that came from a decrease in scholarship budget that was in the GA, that was not in the net of neither in 2025 nor in 2026. Next slide, please. The TESDA fund utilization by August, I would like to flag, is in fact higher compared to the spending of the same period in 2024. However, it is true that of the entire Dolly family, our utilization rate is the lowest, as I constantly have to apologize to Secretary Benny Laguesma. However, by December 2025, obligations are expected to be at around 86% with a disbursal rate of 91%. As we often do, records show catch up in November and December in terms of our utilization rates. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. So we open the floor for questions, and to start off, let me recognize one of the most seasoned legislators of our country, Senator Rodante Marcoleta.
Salamat po, Mr. Chair. Diretsoy na po natin, Secretary, doon sa tupad. Wala naman pong makikipagdebate doon sa present nyo. Meron naman pong talagang mga legitimate cases na nakatutulong po talaga yung tupad. Kagaya po ng mga ilan na inyong ipinakita sa ngayon. Ngunit palagay ko ay hindi natin magagamit siya pangkalahatan. Let's say it cannot probably represent a microcosm of the entire country. Sapagkat unang-una po ang tupad karaniwan ay tinatawid sa mga politiko na kagaya namin. Nung ako po ay nasa House of Representatives, ako po ay beneficiary rin ng tupad. At yun nga, ang ginagawa po namin, namimili kami nung talagang karapat-dapat makatanggap ng ganitong mga tulong. Hindi ko po masasabi na yung mga kasama ko ganun ang ginagawa. Ang totoo niyan, itong 2025 po, bago ako mag-graduate sa 19th Congress, alam naman po ninyo na ako ay hindi na maganda yung turingan namin sa House of Representatives. Kaya pati po yung aking allotment sa tupad, tinanggal. Sa AX, wala na rin. Lalong-lalo na yung AKAP, wala na rin. Kasi ganito pag-politicize po ang isang pantulong dapat sa mga karaniwang mamamayan. Siguro po, Mr. Chair, ganito ang nangyari dahil maski na po yung COA, tinatanggap naman po niya na talaga pong nakatulong kayo. For example, in 2024, 26 billion ang inyong budget. Ang utilization niyo is 96%. Natulungan po niyo ay about 4.3 million na mahihirap na Pilipino. At kagaya po ng ipinakita niyo kanina, from 2022 to 2025, mga 13.5 million beneficiaries po ang tulungan niyo. Ngunit sabi ng COA sa kanyang pangkalahatan, however, sabi niya po, the propriety and or validity of the financial assistance granted to the beneficiaries could not be ascertained in NCR, CIR, Regions 1, 2, 4A, 4B, Region 8, and Region 9. Marami-rami rin po ito. Due to excessive payments or availments of 477 beneficiaries, amounting to 2.5 million, and most of these are incomplete and deficient documents. So, maganda po yung objectives ng tupad. Ngunit yung implementation po ay hindi natin gaanong mapangahawakan until and unless probably the department could present an impact or effectiveness assessment para masabi po natin nagkaroon talaga ng national transformation, kagaya po ng sinasabi ninyo. uh,